U.S. Nationals recap. That happened this weekend.
U.S. Nationals did happen this weekend, and it was a good news for World Tour teams. First off, Trek Segafredo on the women's side, Ruth Winter had a pretty daring ride. She went away early in the women's race, and this gave her a tactical advantage over a really disorganized chase behind. We see this so often in national championships where people just don't really want to work with each other, more so than in any other race. Ruth Winter, she got ahead of that and just barely held off a charging Corinne Rivera at the finish line. It was a nail-biting, thrilling finish, and Ruth Winter, she has been so close on a couple occasions in the past at U.S. Nationals. She finally gets to pull on that jersey after helping Corinne Rivera win last year. I think it was a really nice transition of the stars and bars in the women's field.
Yeah, and in the men's race, we saw quite an aggressive race. There was attacks from the gun, and everyone who finished up in the top deserved to be there. There was no conservative racing. Everyone was 100% of the time. And it was a dream come true for Alex Howes.
Yeah, Alex Howes has been knocking on this door for so long. He has come to U.S. Nationals year after year for the better part of a decade as pretty much the outright favorite to win the national championship jersey, but World Tour riders have a historically hard time at U.S. Nationals. They typically only have one or two teammates at best. Alex Howes, however, had a really phenomenal group of backup players from EF Education First, Nate Brown, Sean Bennett. They were there for him. And Alex Howes, this race, this is what one of my old teammates would call all guts racing. He rolled the early breakaway with Johnny Brown and a few other riders. Johnny Brown did a really fantastic job in his defense of the jersey. He, of course, did not managed to feature in the finale, but he was represented in pretty much every dangerous move up until then. Alex Howes was dropped. The race came down to a group of three riders, Nielsen Palace, Stephen Bassett, and Alex Howes. In the finale, Alex Howes was dropped by Nielsen Palace with about, 6 miles to go, and just managed to claw himself back and had the kick that he needed to propel himself to the finish line. It was, pretty magical race by Alex Howes. I do have to say that the ride of the day, though, is going to go to a different rider.
Yeah, the ride of the day goes 100% to Stephen Bassett. He is not even on a pro team, and he's up there in the winning break of three and looked like he was going to win it himself.
Yeah, I actually had my money on Stephen Bassett from about 20 miles out. We'll give you a little bit of background on this rider. Stephen Bassett rode for the Silber Pro Cycling team up until this year. 2018 saw a really dismal showing from Stephen. He suffered injuries, was pretty much unable to race his bike for the entirety of the year. He had a saddle sore, actually, which ended up sidelining him. It turned into a cyst. He needed multiple surgeries. It was just a nightmare scenario for a cyclist because when something gets that bad, you just can't sit on the bike. And it took time. This was really hard for Stephen. He ended up having to go down to the amateur ranks this year, and this is what I love about this story. This is when most riders, honestly, would have probably quit, gone and gotten a real job. But Stephen Bassett stuck it out. He signed for an amateur team, and what he produced is the best season of his life. The mental fortitude that he's had to get himself not only healthy, recover from this injury, recover from not being able to ride for almost a year, to being on the form that he has is phenomenal. He won Oak Glen, the mountaintop finish at Redlands this year, which has been won by very good riders, Sepp Kuss, Phil Guyman, to name a few. And then he went on to win 2 stages at Joe Martin's stage race. He took the overall that week, and now his hometown national championship, he got second. A bunch of people are going to be very interested in Stephen Bassett, and rightly so. That was a phenomenal ride, and I think just a pretty magical end to a really crappy chapter in Stephen's cycling career, and things are looking up for him right now.
Yeah, it's been a pretty amazing year for him, and it was awesome to see him up there. Not just, happy to be in the break with the World Tour riders, but taking it to him.
No, he had every intention of winning, and he came very close. So very good ride for Stephen Bassett.